Hey, what's up, guys? It's Zergling. So today we finally got the long-awaited announcement of the release of Lost Ark in the West, and I know a lot of us have been waiting for a long time, and it's finally here. And if you're new to Lost Ark and you just heard of it and you're trying to learn more with the game, welcome, and I hope you really do enjoy this amazing game. So, on this website that they posted today, they have all the classes they listed that will be, I guess, in the alpha for now. Um, Most of the classes are the base classes that we expected, but there are some key differences. One of them is that Paladin, our destroyer is being replaced by Paladin. So no destroyer for now. Martial artists, everything is the same. We don't have Lancemaster, although Lancemaster was one of the first extra classes added in other regions. For the gunners, we do have Gunslinger, which was very recent in KR. So this is just basically the female version of the Devil Hunter, or Deadeye, as they call it in Amazon. We have the Blaster, we have the Hawkeye, or I guess Artillerist and Sharpshooter. Not a fan of some of these name translations, but it is what it is. So yeah, we have an extra class here in the Gunners, that's pretty interesting. Mage, we are missing Arcana, which is one of the base class Mage classes. So that will be pretty interesting. So I guess they want to try to do that as extra content. So yeah, for the start, we'll just have two Mage classes, Bard and Summoner. And finally, Assassin. This is unique in that our region is getting Assassin at launch. Most of the other servers, I know Russia got it pretty early, but JP, I think they got their Assassins pretty late. Like they got theirs at patent, so that's like at least like more than half a year after the game came out. So it's nice that we're getting it at launch. So yeah, we're getting most of the base classes, just missing a few. So now we have what you guys are probably here for, the PvP tier list. And the way this tier list is going to work, I'm going to be ordering these left to right, and I'm going to be placing them in tiers based on the performance in the 3v3 mode, which is basically the main competitive mode. And I'm also going to rate these classes based on like if you're playing them in solo queue. So you don't really have coordination with your teammates. You're just queuing up like and matching up with the random compositions, and you're playing with random people. So in 3v3, in pre-made 3v3, there are some classes that perform much better than if you were just a solo queue. And I'll point them out. So we're gonna go through the base classes first at launch, according to this website, and then I'll add on the extra classes, and then the classes that haven't been announced yet. So first up, Berserker. Berserker, I know people are gonna probably disagree with this. I think it's like maybe low A. Berserker does a lot of damage. I think some benefits of Berserker is he's really easy to play. He's really effective. He has really good CC, and all of his abilities like combo into each other really easily. It's pretty straightforward class to play. But I think that's part of the weakness is that he's too straightforward, and so better players will know what to look for. They'll be more like once you know what his hard CC looks like, it's pretty easy to dodge. He only has like the hard CC where he stomps his foot, and that's like melee range, and then he has his long CC is like the one where he lifts up his sword, and that has a long animation time, and people will learn to dodge it. And overall, Berserker just has really high cooldowns, I feel like, and so he has a lot of downtime in his attacks. So I think he's strong, but I think as players get better, he'll start to fall off. Next we have Holy Knight. Holy Knight is one of the 3 support classes in the game, if you count Warlord, which I don't think Warlord is actually a support class, so really it's just Bard and Holy Knight as support classes. So yeah, he's a support and he's a warrior, so he benefits from having the warrior tankiness, and also like the support utility. But he was broken on release in other regions, but he's been pretty nerfed overall, and from what it seems like, we're getting the build of the game that has most of the nerfs from the other regions. So I expect him to just be performing averagely because he has been hit by a lot of nerfs, and his damage output is not as high as it used to be. Still great utility though, very good at mitigating damage for your team. But for now, A tier, and I think I'll put him before Berserker. Alright, next we have Warlord. Warlord is another, he's like the pseudo support, but his only support ability, at least in PvP, is it's like this, it's like the team shield. And it's actually a really strong shield because it has really big range, so you don't need to be on top of your teammates, like Bard. And it's a thick shield, and it comes with 50% damage reduction, so it's pretty hard to break the shield. So it's really good on demand, it's like almost instant. But other than that, he's probably the slowest character in Lost Ark. His spacebar, which is the dash for characters, his dash is not a real dash, it's just a backstep, and it doesn't cover that much range. He does have some mobility skills with like the charge, and I think it's like the spear lance, where he like takes a step forward and shoots. But other than that, very immobile. But he is a wall. His job is just to be there to take space, and to just be annoying, like to force other people away from your team. Like, so he is effective at what he does. I just think that if you're queuing solo, you can't really do everything by yourself as a warlord. Next we have Battlemaster. This used to be a very strong class. This used to be an S tier class in my opinion, maybe S plus. But it received a huge nerf in that it lost one of its best super armors. So right now it's kind of a weird spot. People are still trying to figure out what build to do with it, but losing that super armor on its Spiral Blast really hurt because that was one of its main reversal tools to deal with super armors. So for now, I think I'm gonna put it at A tier. Next we have Infighter, or I think it's called Scrapper. Yuck, don't like that name. This plays pretty similar to Battlemaster. These kind of fighter classes, you sort of just like run at your enemies and kind of like ape out on them because they're probably one of the most mobile classes in the game. I think Infighter is a tad more tanky than the Battlemaster. I think it feels like it has slightly less damage output than the Battlemaster. But I still think it's one of the best classes for chasing down people, especially the pesky range classes, which I will get to later. But once again, like while it does have a lot of mobility, it doesn't really have any range tools, so there are times where it just feels like you're boxed out by other classes, mainly the warrior classes, because they just put down huge AoEs and you can't really interact with them. So I'll put it A tier for now. I'll think about it though. Probably better than Warlord though. Maybe Holy Knight. Yeah, it's probably better than Holy Knight. Next we have Soulmaster, and this is a really popular class at the beginning. In Korea and Russia, it dominated the top 10 and the leaderboards when there were only base classes in Korea. The main strength about it is that it just has so many ranged tools, and I think having ranged abilities in this game is really strong because Lost Ark is kind of like it's like an ARPG game. So all the skills in Lost Ark, all the classic skills in Lost Ark have some kind of AoE. So what happens is that with all your attacks, you just end up cleaving in front of you. So it makes it really dangerous for people to stack on top of each other. And if you're playing a melee class and you're trying to peel a teammate from someone who's just cleaving with their AoEs, then it becomes really difficult to like enter around. You have to be really careful playing around that, and when you get close to them. So I think having ranged abilities is really useful because you can deal with your enemies while staying outside of their AoEs. So yeah, Soulmaster has a lot of like range abilities and range CCs, which makes it really powerful for just zoning out the enemy, and it makes it really versatile. So S tier class for sure. S tier also has really good damage and mobility. Next we have Bard. This is basically the premier support of the game. Pretty much all support abilities. In PvP, you really only take like one damage ability. The rest are all supportive abilities, or for CC and peeling yourself. Probably one of the most annoying classes in the game to fight against for sure, because I think what makes Bard so unique from the other support classes is that she has a buff where she gives all your teammates like 1 CC immunity, and that can really shut down some classes that depend on their hard CCs to set up combos, because they have to burn through that CC immunity once before they can start their combo. So yeah, Bard honestly S tier. Also the only class in the game that heals, but it's really not. The heal is really not that impactful, but it is nice. One thing to note though is Bard is probably one of the squishiest classes in the game, but it has a lot of super armors and yeah, it can defend itself pretty well as long as it's not getting like ran at by all three people. So S tier class. Like with Bard, you can literally straight up deny like the enemy teams. You can literally just save your team so much with the Bard shields, and the Bard damage mitigation is actually crazy. Next we have Summoner, and people think Summoner is broken because Summoner is always pumping out like 800k plus damage games, but in reality, I think Summoner is only 8 tier. Yeah, I think Summoner is just while it does have like insane damage potential, I feel like Summoner is just a little bit too squishy, and it can't really peel for itself like other range classes. It doesn't have like it doesn't have that much mobility. I think people only take one dash. I don't even know if Summoner has any dashes you can take, but yeah, their only mobility is their spacebar. They have some self peel tools, but they're really not that great. One of them is the free circle, but that's like people will learn to just immune it by dodging through it. The other one is like the gust of wind, but that's like they have to be on top of you, and people learn to like use super armors once they're on top of you to stop you from using that gust. So Summoner quickly becomes like exposed in higher levels of play, and she is squishy, so she does melt really easily. But I think I will put her in S tier though. Her damage potential is just crazy, and she farms some melee classes, and that'll be important later on when I explain why. Because she does have really good matchups into melee, some melees. Next we have Double Hunter, I think. Yes, this is Double Hunter, and S tier without a doubt. Honestly, probably put a high S tier. Um, this class is just pretty absurd. Hard to play though, very hard to play. He requires he requires a lot of APM and a lot of muscle memory with your combos and a lot of game knowledge as well. But he is. It's hard to explain why he's so good, but basically he's just super mobile. Probably one of the most mobile classes in the game. Like even more so than the Battlemaster. Um, has very flexible combo routes. Like he can string together combos from almost any of his skills. So it makes him very flexible. He doesn't depend on like certain rotations being off cooldown to do damage, unlike some other classes. And he does do a lot of damage himself. And like I said, I feel like range classes having range tools in this game is very helpful. So yeah, high S for sure. Next we have Gunslinger, which is the female Devil Hunter, and Gunslinger is the first class that I put in S plus, simply because she's basically Devil Hunter, but with some extra benefits. She has her dash is actually a little bit longer than her spacebar is a little bit longer than Devil Hunter's because it's a combo skill, so she can dash twice. And she has like more movement options than Devil Hunter, and as well as her rifle skills are a little bit better. I think Devil Hunter does have some parts of its kit where it's better than Gunslinger. Like for example, the Devil Hunter's knock up plus super armor, like where he kicks you up in the air. I think that's pretty good, and Gunslinger doesn't have that. But the mobility of Gunslinger and the damage of the rifle skills is just way too good, and so that's why I have to put her S plus here, the first S plus. Next, we have Blaster. And this class, unfortunately, I think I'm going to put it in the B plus tier. Um, this class has a lot of similarities with Summoner. It's like a more tanky version of Summoner, except you don't have pets to use, but you do like drop huge AoEs on the ground, and your damage output can be really high. But it's just like a slower Summoner, and Summoner is already pretty slow, so this means this is glacially slow. And I think I would probably say this is the slowest class in the game. Like all of his abilities require him to stand still, and they have a long cast time. Yeah, I mean he does have a lot of damage, especially in his combos. He can probably do like half of someone's HP in a full combo, but it's just hard to start, and people learn to play against him. Like one of his main combo stars is by using the Gatling gun to perma stagger someone to set up his stun, but people will learn that you can immune his Gatling gun stagger by just basic attacking in place. So his reliability quickly falls off. So yeah, B plus tier. Here we have Hawkeye, and Hawkeye I think will have to join his Hunter brother in the B plus tier. Um, Hawkeye is unique. He's a unique class because I think he's the only class in the game that can stealth from their basic abilities. So he's unique in that, but I feel like his kit just doesn't really flow together that well. I guess that's how I would put it. Like he's a combination of having like ranged and melee abilities. Like his combos, he has to go into melee range, and then, but at the same time, he wants to set a poke with his range skills like snipe. It's just a really awkward class. It doesn't really like. It just doesn't really come together as a package, and I feel like this class is just a little bit too unreliable in the meta right now. But he can do some good damage, and he can be a pretty good disruptor too with his stealth. So he's definitely not a bad class. Okay, so now we have the first of the assassins. This is demonic art. It's called Shadowhunter in NA, I think. And this is a solid class. Just trying to think where I want to put it. Oh, where to go? Right here. Yeah, I'd probably put it in mid S, high S maybe. Uh, this is all the assassins are pretty mobile. But they're all melee classes. But what makes Devil Hunter unique is that it probably has like it has the most range options out of all the assassins. It has like these two buzzsaws which flings out. You guys have probably seen it. Really good for starting up combo chains from safety. It also has like where she charges up the laser from her hand, and that has pretty good range. So overall, just a really solid class. She's fast. Can chase down most people. Good CC tools. Has sort of good protection for herself and good damage overall. So yeah, high S. Next we have Blade, and this one is one I'm really not sure. Like this is one I was thinking about a lot, and I think for now I'm gonna put her at maybe either low A or high B plus. The reason is because, well, first I think she has a lot of potential. Um, I know people in KR they think really highly of Blade. Uh, but I feel like Blade is just a little bit too much risk for not a lot of reward. Uh, like Blade is pretty much completely melee. I mean, you can spec for some skills that like give her a little bit more range only in front of her, but I feel like being an assassin, she's just super squishy naturally. Her damage output is really tied to her long long cooldown abilities, and if you whiff those, then you're really screwed. And she depends on like certain setups, like especially hard CC to set up her highest damage routes. So it's sometimes hard to get value. And yeah, she depends on the enemy not having a lot of super armor, so she has a really bad matchup into warrior classes, I feel like, which isn't a good thing considering there's usually a lot of warriors. So yeah, for now I'll put her high B plus. It's a very fun class to play though, for sure. All right, now we're here to the first of our extra classes that were not listed on the website, and this is Arcana. This was one of the first. This was one of the original base classes, but for some reason is not going to be here on launch. But so it's one of the mage sub archetypes. I think this would be S plus, honestly. Really, it's probably the most mobile of the mage classes. Has a lot of dashes, a lot of good protection, a lot of super armors. But I think what makes it so strong is that it has like it's just so flexible. It has so many tools. It has a really good neutral game with the card shuffle, with like the purple ring that perma staggers you, and also has like a really good combo. It has really good combos that are really quick, so it keeps her safe and their range. Unlike most range classes, like you have to like be on top of them to pull off your full damage route. But Arcana can do it from like sort of like mid range, so it keeps her really safe while doing it, and is really quick. So yeah, that just keeps her really safe, and she can just farm damage the whole match without really taking any damage in return. So yeah, probably S plus tier class. I would say low S plus. Um, she is mobile, but she isn't as mobile as Deathblade and Gunslinger, and she really suffers from people like coming at her different directions. So if you have two people on her, like you just pop. Next we have Destroyer, and this class is a monster. I don't know how else to put it. This guy is S plus. Definitely, yeah, probably the strongest one on the list so far. This class, this class is basically like, what if you gave the tankiness of a Warlord on the movement of just like you gave a class like Warlord's level of tankiness, but has like decent mobility because he does have a backstep like Warlord. He actually has a normal dash. Give him like really good hard CC skills that are pretty good. Like they act as mobility skills. They're hard CC skills and mobility skills. Actually, I think some Warlords take like 3 dashes. Uh, and then you gave him like a respectable amount of damage with like huge AoEs. Like I'm talking like huge circles, and you can't even interact with him because he's super armored and he's just gonna like deal a shit ton of damage to you back if you try to enter, like if you just try to get close to him. Yep, this is Destroyer, guys. And I think Destroyer is part of the reason why you'll see a lot of range classes towards the top of the tier list and melee classes toward the bottom. Because melee classes it's just really hard for them to deal with Destroyers. Unless you have like a good range CC option that you can use while being safe. Like Destroyer is just the definition of just cleaving. Like they just put down huge AoEs around them, and it's really hard for melee classes to interact with them. So yeah, S plus tier for sure. And next we have Landsmaster. This is a personal favorite of mine. I would put this at maybe high S. Yeah, maybe I kind of want to put him S plus, but I don't think Landsmaster is quite that good. But S plus S tier for sure because it shares a lot of mobility with the other fighter classes, but the Landsmaster mobility it's just like it comes out way quicker. It's harder to react to. Landsmaster has really good combo paths that do a lot of damage, and she has a really hard punish on you if you don't have your roll up. So if you get knocked down a second time without your roll, she can probably delete half your HP bar in less than a second with her Red Dragon Flight skill. So yeah, very strong class. Very self-sufficient. People like to play this class in Korea very aggressively. They use this as like a sort of like a backline diver, and they just go hard and they just buy so much space for their team by just going deep into the enemy and surviving. So yeah, S tier class. Although this class does have a weak matchup to Destroyer, but not impossible. Next we have Scouter. Now this class was utter domination on the Korea leaderboards when it came out, and this is easily probably the best class in the game. It's ranged, so it counters all the warrior class, it counters destroyers because it's ranged, and especially because he has his drone, so he can stay even farther back while hit confirming off his drone. Really good mobility. Not quite as good as the Deathblade and Gunslinger again, but it's more than enough to kite out most of the classes in the game. Probably like 90% of the classes in the game he can kite with ease. I think, but what makes him really strong is his identity skill, his transformation, where he transforms in the Iron Man mode. He already pumps out damage when he's in his normal form, but once he goes Iron mode, he just becomes a bully. He does so much damage, and because he's transformed, he's immune to stagger. So transformations, like the Deathblade the demonic transformation and the Scouter transformation, when they transform, they're immune to stagger, and he just gets his transformation is better than demonic's because demonic's transformation is basically only melee, but Scouter gets range abilities, not too far range, maybe like mid range I should say, but it's just too much. It just cleaves everywhere. He gets a shield while he's transformed too, so you can't really poke him down. So he just flies around, zapping everything with his laser beams and killing everyone. And even if he didn't have his transform, I'd probably still put him S plus tier. Like his kit just flows together so well, and it's that strong. Just so much good hard CC, a lot of good damage. He can play off his drone. No other class has a no other class has the range and safety of Scouter. It's not common. You can easily play Scouter, and you can probably get like your damage ratio dealt to damage ratio. Your damage dealt ratio to damage taken will just be absurd. You can easily get like 700k damage while only taking like 100k damage. It's just this class is ridiculous. Finally, we have the Reaper, and this is one of the newer classes, probably one of the most popular classes in Korea. I'm gonna put this class. She was strong when she first came out, but she's been hit with a lot of nerfs, especially towards her damage. Um, Somewhere S tier, probably low S tier, maybe like here. It's definitely better than Summer. I'll put it right there. I feel like Reaper does everything Blade does, but better. She doesn't have any super armors like Blade though, but her movement options are just way better. She's way better chasing, way better at running. Uh, she has a okay range CC in the form of a throwing dagger, and her damage can be quite like lackluster. You like she sort of just like pokes you to death, but this class is just so deadly for probably one of the best classes to play against range classes, simply because your damage sort of like destroys classes with like low defense coefficients, which are range classes. Like when you go into your stealth, you get your next raid skill will do like 150% damage, and if you crit with it on a range class, you can like do 50k damage. So it's like half their HP, and then she has the mobility to keep up with all the classes. So it's really hard to run for her, especially if she's stealth. Like when she's stealth, it's so scary playing a range class because you never know when she's gonna pop out behind you. But yeah, she's probably the most squishy class in the game, tied with Bard, I think. So she pops really easy. So she requires a. I wouldn't say the class is hard, but you do have to understand like what other classes do. So you have to know like what moves are safe to go into, and what moves to look out for when you're playing Reaper. So not a hard class, just requires like a good amount of game knowledge to play optimally, I think. Or else you'll end up dying a lot and probably just losing matches that way, just racking up like 5 deaths per average on average. And finally, we have Stryker. This is the male Battlemaster, or male War Dancer, as it's called in the NA. This class pretty much overshadows Battlemaster. Sadly, I'll have to put it maybe above Berserker here. It shares a lot of skills with Battlemaster, but it has some unique skills that just are too good. One of them is it has like a AOE freeze around him, so that gives him a really good combo potential, and he can get a guaranteed damage. He can get a guaranteed punish on you even if you have your roll up. So it just makes his damage output that much higher. He doesn't have to play for a second roll for you to have your roll on cooldown to get his full damage off. He also has a really good ultimate skill where well, it uses like his identity gate resource, and it's like 2 dashes, but it knocks you down and he has super armor while doing it. Battlemaster does not have that, so yeah, just straight up, he just has better skills than Battlemaster. Unfortunately, it seems the trend is that the alternate gender version of the base classes are just straight up better. But I guess that's how it is. That's how they get sales. So yeah, that's the tier list, guys. And of course, again, this is just my opinion. Like it is my opinion, and this is just the way I see the game. I put a lot of weight towards having like good range tools and mobility, because I feel like if you have those options available to you, you can deal with basically any class in the game. But I just want you guys to know that the tier list is not definite. Like my word is not absolute. You should play whatever class you enjoy. All these classes can perform well, even these B plus classes, and these classes are not bad. That's why I put B plus instead of just B or C, because these classes are still very deadly in the right hands, and I've gotten destroyed by these classes before. Like it really just comes down to the player for the most 90% of the game. I feel like just comes down to player skill. You can't really cheese your way. like even Scouter, which is probably the most broken class, it does require a good amount of piloting. You have to be able to multitask with your drone and yourself at the same time. So it does require a good amount of skill. So yeah, just play whatever class you like, guys. I, I can definitely see like these classes being top 10. I can see any class being in the top 10 leaderboard. Like they all have potential. So it's just up to you to unlock it. So yeah, that's it. If you want, if you want some like more interesting notes on the classes, I'll have a Google Doc on the bottom where I was like, it's just a Google Doc where I was jotting down notes when I was thinking about like where to place these classes, like which classes have what are the strengths of each class, what are the weaknesses of each class. So I'll have a Google Doc in the description below, and yeah, you can check it out. So hope to see you guys soon. I hope you guys enjoy the alpha. Um, don't think I think it is NDA, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get gameplay footage from the alpha, but we'll see. So yeah, that's it for now. Catch you guys later.